the Tennessee women's basketball team continues their tough swing. They are traveling to number 2 Notre Dame coming up on Thursday. That is the third game of 3 straight on the road, and it's the third of 4 straight games against top 20 opponents. ETSU basketball, the men back in action coming up on Thursday when they hit the road to face Furman. The women will play at Furman tomorrow. With a sports flash on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities, I'm Matt Pauley.
Well, evidently my computer is slow, and so the bumper music is not playing. This is Tri-City Sports Now. And let me just give you the candidates here, and that are being reported by the Tennessean as potential hires for the Titans coaching spot, but I think some of them are just absolutely no way. For instance, one of them, Pat Shurmur, Vikings offensive coordinator. Yeah, the Giants just hired him as their head coach. He's not coming to Tennessee. Don't think he's going to tell the Giants, no, that's okay. I don't think his reputation would be that good if he did that. And I kind of think the Giants are a little bit higher up on the pecking order than the Titans are in NFL hierarchy as well. However, the one thought there that I get is, everybody talking about who's going to replace Eli Manning. It would have to be a year in the making. I don't think he would declare for the draft. But what about Kyle Shurmur, Pat's son at Vanderbilt? Just set all these records. Certainly the cerebral quarterback. I was looking at his draft status for 2019. Nobody had really come up with a real, this is where he could be and all that. But there's something to think about. I realize also pro in college, it's not, you got to get drafted. And if he is all that good, let's say he's the best prospect coming out of the draft or something. Well, the Giants hope they don't have him because he's number 1. And I doubt that, to coach my boy, this isn't high school here. This is the pros. So, but it would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? It would be kind of like, I don't know, when Cal Ripken Sr. was managing Cal Ripken Jr. or something. Now, other guys that are on the list that the Tennessean writes, Mike Vrabel, remember him? He was like the all-everything defensive player. He'd also catch a pass or two for the Patriots. Started out with the Steelers. They do have Josh McDaniels, who Joe Rexrod said that's the dream guy for John Robinson, although it would be another week before he could be hired because he had interviewed with the Colts still, and plus he's still the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, who are still playing, obviously. It seems like Mike Florio has said, now he's going to Indianapolis. That's, kind of a done deal. And I was talking about what the Titans' job is as compared to some others. I do think it would probably be better. I would rather be the coach of the Titans than the Colts because then I don't have to work with the Ursays. On the other hand, the, management of the Titans, it's not all that good either. If you really want to get down to the brass tacks there, it really, no, that's not who you really want there to work for. It's not working for the Rooneys, and it's not working for the New England Patriots and the Krafts, or one of the good owners of the NFL, Let's see here. There are a lot of, actually, you start thinking about it, guys that you wouldn't want to work for in the NFL. What happened to, the DeBartolos? Well, they may buy the Panthers, I guess. It's funny because Ron Rivera actually, at a press conference, he spoke very highly of Jerry Richardson despite the sexual harassment claims. But that's probably because Richardson did have the reputation of being one of the good owners to work for. Jeff Lurie with the Eagles has that rep. The Maras with the Giants have that rep. So, there are some guys. And then there are guys, like I said, like the Ursays that you wouldn't want to work for. There are some people like the Cronkies or the, Spanoses or certainly Jed York with the 49ers. Those are guys you just don't want to be a part of. Jerry Jones, I don't know. I think that if you were his former backup quarterback, then yeah, it's a great person to work. You're the coach for life. Otherwise, maybe not. Then he gets too meddlesome. But other candidates that are being talked about, and I do apologize because I'm putting this up on my computer, which is extraordinarily slow at this time right now. So I do want to apologize here, and I'm having some trouble literally dialing these things up. But let's try to give you some other guys named Frank Reich, who's an assistant coach. Remember him? He used to be the coach of the Bills. Or not the coach, he was the backup quarterback of the Bills. He was Jim Kelly's backup. He was the guy that engineered the 32-point comeback in the playoffs against the Oilers. He also engineered a 31-point comeback against the Miami Hurricanes in 1984, playing for the Maryland Terrapins. That, for a while, was the biggest come-from-behind victory in college football history. But anyway, let's take a look at who some of these guys could be, if I will. And it just isn't, and I do apologize. I could not print it out. We ran out of ink in the morning, and I will get to this in the next segment, and I do apologize. It's just right now I'm having absolutely no, but I've given you a couple of names. I did want to just say this. To me, all the guys that were listed were coordinators, and some of them just aren't going to be the head coach of the Titans. You know, Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator of the Patriots. Well, he's already committed to the Lions. He's not going to be the coach of the Titans. Come on. And that's the big thing with McDaniels. But it comes down to, they've got on this list Jim Bob Cooter. Tennessee fans would like that, sure. And I think that he would be interested. You know, the Lions offensive coordinator turned down a chance to interview for the Tennessee Volunteers job. But yeah, he's a pro coach now. You know, going from the pros down to the college, that's a demotion. You know, that doesn't want to do that. Alma mater or no. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. Would he be someone who would be interested in the Titans job? You got to figure after going to Tennessee that he would. And you also have to figure that with a name like Jim Bob Cooter, and I should talk, I know my name is Marky. That's 385 with an M, by the way. But how many, you know, you're not going to get the job of the Patriots if your name is Jim Bob Cooter. I'm kind of surprised he's the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions with a name like Jim Bob Cooter. Anyhow, that's another guy on the list here. I just wanted to say this. It seems to me that that would be a less than sexy hire going to the offensive coordinator ranks. I would think that if you wanted to make a sexy hire, you wanted to make a splash hire. And I almost think that you have to do that if you are replacing a coach that just was in the playoffs. Whether you're the Titans or hypothetically the Steelers, you've got to make the sexy coach hire. And you don't do that with the offensive coordinator of another team. You don't do that with the Eagles quarterback coach, Steve Philippi. I can't even pronounce his name. But he's high up on a lot of coaching circles. You don't do that. Maybe you do it by hiring Mike Munchak. I'm going to say, by the way, Mike Munchak is going for a second interview with the Arizona Cardinals, the former Titans coach who has been the offensive line coach of the Steelers. So, possibly, I mean, why don't the Steelers just promote him? I mean, I could make that argument right there. But yeah, the lifelong, for so long, playing on the line of the Oilers and the Titans, Mike Munchak, and just it could be a Cardinal now, you know. So we'll see what goes on with that. But I just wanted to say, you don't get sexy hires from NFL assistant. Where you get sexy hire from is college coach. And I think if you really want to make that home run hire, obviously, look what the Cowboys did in a previous era with Jimmy Johnson. Look what the Jaguars did with Tom Coughlin. For that matter, the Giants then taking him. I guess the Giants got the fruit of his labor, but the Coughlin now involved in player personnel with the Jaguars, so sure, certainly, you know, they're enjoying the fruits of their labor with him now. What about, give another thought. I mean, there have been bad coaching hires from the college ranks. Don't get me wrong. Bud Wilkinson back in the day. Of course, he had been out for 16 years. But a lot of times, you want to get that guy, yeah, we like it. Get him get the guy who's already won. You get it from college coach. Now, again, you're not going to get Nick. Don't give me Nick Saban. I don't think that anybody wants to outpay Alabama and the $11 million they pay him a year for him to be the head coach when he's 66 years old and he's 15-17 in the pros. I don't think that anybody wants to do that. Give you an example. John Gruden, what did he sign for? 10 years, $100 million. John Gruden isn't making as much as Nick Saban. Think about that. John Gruden, by the way, was sexy hire. He had won a Super Bowl before. John Gruden was a broadcaster. John Gruden is sexy hire. I just would say, if you're looking for sexy hire, then I think that you do go with James Franklin. Not being talked about, but I'm just going to throw it out there. If I'm the Steelers, the sexy hire that I could bring aboard would be Tony Dungy. I know he's been out of the game for a while, but he's certainly a sexy hire. Won a Super Bowl, played for Chuck Noll. Yeah, that's sexy hire right there. You fire Mike Mularkey, you better bring in the right guy. I'm just not sure that it's going to be coordinator somewhere else. Tri-City Sports Now will be back with some basketball talk after this.